Well, top of the morning to you, and welcome to Module 5, How to Stay in Contact. You know, sales is a contact sport. Can you imagine going to a football game and the players go, well, we don't like hitting each other. You know, I put the shoulder pads on, I put the helmet on, but just don't want any contact. Well, that would be as ludicrous as a salesperson saying that they don't want to be in contact with people or they don't want to initiate contact. You know, years ago, we used to have the commercial of the Maytag repairman. And he'd sit there in his blue uniform, waiting for the phone to ring, bored. And the whole idea of the commercial was that Maytags were so reliable that the Maytag repairman never got a phone call. Well, I'm going to say this to you, that the truth of the matter is that most people in the real estate business, they want their phone to ring. They'd like to be the Maytag repairman that gets a lot of incoming phone calls where people are calling you saying, I want to sell my house. Can you help me find a house? And that will happen for you. But that's after years and years of you initiating contact. If you don't initiate contact, you'll be like the Maytag repairman and you'll be sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, bored out of your mind. And remember this. All the technological pieces out there, all the social media marketing and internet lead-based marketing, it's not an initiator of contact. You have to initiate contact. And so when we talk about our system, we talk about contact, care, and community. And I'm really excited for these next 3 modules because this is really where we get into the meat of the system of how to work by referral. And so what we're going to focus on today is contact. So here's how we define contact at Buffini & Company. It's consistent, scheduled connection with your database by voice-to-voice, face-to-face, or written communication. That's consistent, scheduled connection with your database by voice-to-voice, face-to-face, or written communication. And we're going to walk you through all the forms of it. So in our system, we start with mail. Now, a lot of people go, oh man, it's so old school, snail mail, so on and so forth. Well, if you look at the numbers, in fact, the organization called Direct Marketing Association, which actually tracks and measures response rates, mail is still one of the stronger responses of all marketing. And what I've found, it's a great platform to build upon. That's why, included in your course, we have 3 mailings for you. Very, very solid response rate. It's a very solid way to deliver value and set yourself apart from the competition. So we start with mail. Then what we do is we follow up with what we call e-reports. And this is an e-report is an email that looks complementary to the mailing we've sent. So for example, if we send information on how to protect yourself from identity theft in the mail, a couple of weeks later, we'll have you send an e-report that gives live links on action steps that your database can take to actually protect themselves from identity theft. So it's a complementary piece. So we have mail and then e-reports. And again, we're initiating contact. We're contacting the people in our database. And then the last one, very powerful, is calls. We're going to use the telephone for what it was designed to do. Okay? Very, very powerful. So this is our contact system, mail, e-reports, and calls. So let's kind of dive in right now. I kind of alluded to this with you already, but what are the benefits of a monthly mailing? Well, first of all, it sets you apart from the competition. It sets you apart from the competition. Only 18% of realtors mail their sphere of influence monthly. 18%. Where does that sound familiar? Oh, that's right. The Pareto principle. 20% of the actions, 80% of the results. Okay? You're going to see this throughout this program. How a small percentage of the realtors do a large part of the business. So this one right here, it's the most basic, it's the most fundamental. So it sets you apart from the competition. It allows you to provide valuable information, you know, going through the mail. And so whether it's identity theft, raising your credit score, we always are providing valuable information so that when people see our name, our logo, the company you works for logo on a mailing, they know there's something good in there. It's not just, hey, I'm number 1, or here's a picture of myself. It's something of value. Steve Pavlina says this, realize that you earn income by providing value, not time. So find a way to provide your best value to others and charge a fair price for it. And that's what we're going to have you do. That's what our contact system does. Value, value, follow up. Value, value, follow up. Here's the third part. It demonstrates your consistency. Just the mailing alone, the e-reports alone, make you consistent, somebody who can be counted on. And it's very, very powerful. J. Conrad Levinson says this: consistency breeds familiarity, familiarity breeds confidence, and confidence breeds sales. Later on, I'll also show you what consistency does in the aspect of building trust. The next benefit of a monthly mailing is it creates an opportunity to engage your database. So you get the chance to engage your database, connect with them. This is the contact piece. Now, what does engagement mean? It's an arrangement to meet or be present. I just want you to kind of circle that in your workbook. Be present. This is a big deal, especially in the ADD world we live in, the hyper-distracted world we live in, the clickbait world we live in. To be present with somebody. What we're trying to do is connect with somebody, interact with somebody, provide value for somebody, build a relationship with somebody, and then ultimately have a chance to be face-to-face, voice-to-voice, and then be present with that person. And then the last benefit of a monthly mailing is it leverages the use of the knack. The knack, a very Irish term. That guy's got a great knack for that. Well, I'm going to show you the knack. And this knack I developed over 30 years ago, and it transformed my business. It helped me separate myself apart from my competition. I mentioned earlier about consistency and why consistency is so important. One of the reasons is it builds trust. You have to remember this. If you want people to refer you, they have to trust you. And as a new agent, you can think, well, how do I communicate to people so that they'll think I'm a person of integrity or that I'm honest? Because isn't that what trust is all about? What happens is it gives people this sense of confidence because you're consistent. And consistency builds trust. And that's what we want to do. But there's a knack to this. Now, like I mentioned, you have this dynamic here of your character and your competence. Your character, the likability factor, your integrity, your word is your bond. Competence, how good are you? How professional are you? So when we're doing our marketing, this is very important for the contact systems. We want to lean more heavily into the competence side than even the character side. So I'll walk you through these and understand we've actually engineered this for you in your mailings and with your e-reports. So we want a little heavier emphasis on competence even than character. And this is communicated by personal contact. That illustrates your character. But professional content, that communicates your competence. Okay? So personal and professional, character, competence. Personal and professional, character, competence. We want people to trust us, but we want people to know that we're good at what we do. And that's why when it gets down to it, people will ultimately lean more heavily here. They'll even sometimes do business with somebody they don't maybe like as much, but ultimately because they think they're really good at what they do. So this is very, very important. What we want is both. We want to be great with people. We want to be an integrous person. We want to be open and honest. We want to have them like us. And we want referrals. And we want referrals because they know we're good at what we do, okay? So that's where we'll delve in here in a minute. Now, what you'll see right here is that we have your mailings laid out for you, your contact mailings. And we have the knack built in. And again, you'll notice the first 3 mailings we have as part of this program, they heavily lean towards the competent side, the professional content. And so when you send out your announcement letter, it won't just be, hey, I'm in real estate, but here's some very, very powerful practical information for you that you're going to find valuable. So, hey, I'm in real estate, but hey, I'm in real estate while I'm providing you value. So here's some tips for your mailings as the first part of your contact systems. Be sure to include a personalized letter. And we've included them for you in this program. Next, we recommend you send them out the first of the month. Now, let me just time out for a second. We know that as you take this program, many of you are going to be taking this program at different times of months and years when you start. So if it's week 3 or week 4 or week 5 or week 12, whatever activities we give you, do them in those time frames. But ideally, after you graduate 100 Days to Greatness, you're going to want your mailing on the 1st of the month, and you'll see you want your e-reports on the 15th of the month. So that's kind of the gold standard. But for right now, just follow the action steps as we give them to you. Now, once you send out your letter and you've sent out your item of value, then you want to make up follow-up phone calls behind the mailing, okay? That's really what makes it go. That's what really expands the influence of that marketing piece. So let's talk about the e-reports for a moment, shall we? The e-reports, they reinforce the monthly mailing. They reinforce the monthly mailing. They're a companion piece. We've designed them to have a similar look and feel, and then complementary content. And that's why a couple of weeks apart, someone will see the e-report and it'll trigger in their unconscious mind something they've seen before. This looks familiar. Over time, that value and that familiarity is going to be associated with you. And people are really going to remember, this is what you do, this is who you are, you're providing value to them all the time. So it reinforces the monthly mailing. The next thing the e-reports do is they increase response rates. So it increases your response rates. Again, don't be shocked when you get email responses from your e-reports. And it's a very efficient form of communication. So it reinforces the monthly mailing, increases the response rate, and it's an efficient form of communication. And you just email those bad boys out, and away they go. And again, complimentary, sets apart. And because they're colorfully done and nicely designed, it doesn't just get the quick delete, okay? So here are some tips for the e-reports. Send out on the 15th of every month. Again, a couple weeks after you've sent out the mailing. It also sets up an opportunity for you to make the follow-up phone calls after sending out the e-report. And get this, don't be surprised if you get an email response. So sometimes you'll send out the mailing, no response. You'll send out the e-report and you'll get a response because it's an easy way to get back in touch with you. And they sometimes will mention the mailing you've sent. So it's a very efficient form of this. And I'm going to say this, we've had clients who've been resistant because they don't like getting too many emails themselves. We've had clients who are resistant to send it out. But here was an interaction between one of our clients in Washington, D.C. Her name is Carrie Carter. And she sent this email to her coach, Billy Van Raphorst. And she said, Billy, I sent out my first e-report today and already received 6 emails from past clients. Why was I not using this for the past year? So easy. I love it. Now, I love on the bottom of this email, she says, now tomorrow, I dial for dollars. So she's calling behind it. So she was shocked. I sent out the e-report and I got 6 responses. That's beautiful. And now she's going to get on the horn and start calling people. And so now we want to talk a little bit about calling people because calling is a key component of the contact system. We mail, we send out the e-reports, and then we call. Here's some old school stats. These are new school information with an old school methodology. Salesforce, basically the largest system in the world for sales teams, shared this statistic here recently, that 92% of all client interactions happen over the phone. Now just stop here for a second. I know this is a high-tech world and we're texting and instant messaging and, all the different social media ways to connect. 92% of all client interactions happen over the phone. You need to get good at being on the phone. 91% of customers say they'd give referrals. Only 11% of salespeople ask for referrals. 91% said, I would give a referral. 11% of the salespeople actually do. Now, the benefits of the call is that the mailing gives you an excuse to call. I just sent you information on identity theft or a home remodel or a credit repair. I get on the phone and I call. It gives me an excuse to call and follow up. Here's the next point. The topic of the mailing is the subject of your call. Many people are like, what do I talk about? What do I talk about? Well, make sure you have one of the mailers sitting in front of you and start making your calls. And when you get a hold of somebody, hey, did you get what I sent you in the mail? And so you're able to communicate and articulate. Very powerful. And ultimately, it's a very easy way to stay connected. All right? So what we have in your workbook is this follow-up dialogue. This is after you send out your mailing. It's, hi, Frank. How you doing? How's the family, business, etc.? I'm just checking in to see if you got my mailing this month on remodeling. A lot of my clients have been interested in home improvement projects, so I hope it was valuable for you. Keep in mind, if you need a good trade or service professional for any remodeling or even small repairs, I have a network of great people I can refer to you. It's my goal to provide you and your family with valuable information each month. And oh, by the way, if you know someone who's looking to buy or sell a home, I'd love to help them. So when you come across these people, just give me a call with their name and number, and I'd be happy to follow up and take care of them for you. All right, great. Take care. We have this dialogue for you on the Online Resource Center. Very, very powerful. And remember the little, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals. That would be for people you know. So you know someone, you have a good connection with them. By the way, never too busy for any of your referrals. It's also, you could leave that dialogue as a voicemail message. Very powerful. Here's a great stat. When a mailing is followed by a phone call, it's up to 7 times more likely to produce results. And that's why I say to you, this is a contact sport. Now look at the steps you're taking already compared to all the people who are in real estate. First of all, we know that less than 20% of all agents send a mailing to the database. You're about to do this. You're about to be in the top 20% in activities. Then we're going to follow up with the e-reports, and then we're going to follow up with a phone call. 7 times more likely to get a response. Very, very powerful. Now, we know that not everybody's home. So what we're going to do is we're going to get good at leaving voicemail messages. And again, when you're making your calls, you don't just call blindly. Start with your favorite people and work your way out. When you reach out to folks that you have a great relationship with, they're more likely to respond, answer, or call you back. Other folks, as you get through your database here, you're going to be leaving a voicemail. So guess what? We got a voicemail message for you. Hi, Dennis. Brian Buffini here. How you doing? The reason I'm calling is I recently came across some very powerful ways to protect you and your family against identity theft, which is the #1 fraud in our society today. I've sent some information along with you in both mail and email. Give me a quick call so I can share a couple of techniques that you can use to protect you and your family's identity. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Now, what has you calling someone about identity theft got to do with real estate? Nothing. But what has it got to do with your character and competence? A lot. Mail, email, call. Mail, email, call. Mail. We're going to send a mailing to our entire database. That puts you in the top 20% in activities for people in the real estate business. We're going to follow up with an e-report. That takes you probably into the top 10% of the people who actually do the right things the right way in this business. And then you're going to start to make the call. Now, here's the coaching tip. When you go to make your phone calls, don't just call alphabetically, call via the priorities set up in your CRM. You start with your favorite people, the A+ people, the people that you like who really like you. You'll have no nervousness over that call. Have the mailing in front of you or the e-report in front of you so you know what to reference, and then make the commitment to make the calls. Now, as a professional, just don't think, oh, well, they know I'm in real estate. I don't want to hassle them or bug them. Connect with them, interact with them, and then be professional. They need the information too. They need that value. But start with your favorite people. And this is really the way to crack the code to get you into the habits to doing the right stuff. And if you start small, your business can grow big. We've done this with people for decades. It reminds me of the story of Dan Faulkner Jr. from Kirkland, Washington. Dan started with us when he was 23 years old, okay? Just new kid on the block, figuring it out. But you know what? He was from day one. He said, you tell me to send out the mailing, I'm doing the mailing on the 1st. E-reports, I'm doing it on the 15th. Making the calls, I'm going to call behind every mailing. In his first year, he closed a deal a month. You know, last year, he closed over $32 million in volume and made over $1 million in commissions. Now, I know when I share these stats and these numbers, it seems kind of out there if you're just starting out. But I'm going to say this to you. Dan Faulkner's been with us a number of years. He's worked the system to a T. He follows the program. He sends out the mailing. He does the activities. He does the calls. He's gotten good at them. So when asked recently in an interview, you know, what's made you so successful? Dan goes, well, for 13 years, I've just worked the program. In fact, he said, Buffini & Company has made me literally millions of dollars. That's true. You're making $1 million every year. And that can happen for you. It can. I've seen it thousands and thousands of times. And I'm hoping that you're sitting there going, he's going to tell my story one day. He's going to be telling other people about me one day, and then my story is going to inspire other folks. That's the goal. So let's recap. What did we cover today? We covered the contact system of mail, e-reports, and calls. And we shared some tips on how to use this and really make a difference. We covered some dialogues, some follow-up dialogues, the oh, by the way dialogue, and a really cool voicemail message. And we covered the knack, that character and competence, personal and professional. And that science is built into everything we do, from the mailings we send, to the e-reports, to the pop-bys you'll be doing, to the personal notes and modules to come. Now, as I'm going to say to you every single week here, education without implementation is merely entertainment, and I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to train you. So here's this week's action steps. First, watch how to set up your monthly marketing tutorial in the Referral Maker CRM. Next, send out your announcement letter with the very first mailing. And lastly, watch the Mayor campaign roleplay video. That'll set you up. Well, remember, sales is a contact sport, and now it's time for you to initiate some contact. In our next module, I'm going to be sharing with you our care systems, and you're going to love that. We'll see you next time.